Hey everybody, I'm Sparrow,
I'm Roxy.
And I'm yellow.
and we're all
All adults.
adults.
Okay, so today's episode is threesomes, threesomes, threesomes. So we're gonna start out. What are everyone's thoughts on it? Sparrow, do you want to go first?
Sure. I think threesomes are cool with the right people. It's definitely about the vibe, and it's definitely about matching energies. It's just really about whether you're comfortable enough with your partner to go ahead and experience that in the bedroom or not. But I don't have nothing against them.
I think I'm very neutral. I'm very neutral. So it's like I'm not like for or against. It there's a lot that goes into threesomes, especially like in 2021, like having a safe threesome. So that's why I'm very neutral to it.
Safe threesome. Mm.
That's important.
Right.
That is important. You're right. You're right.
I think hypothetically, I support the threesome. In actuality, I have no idea. I think I'm really uncomfortable as a person. I don't know if I'd be able or willing.
Really?
Hmm.
For
Yeah.
you to be poly, that's so
Yeah,
interesting.
I thought
Okay.
you'd be the one with the most threesome experience out of all of
No,
us. Like,
so I have never had a threesome.
wow.
I have been asked many times. Um, but I feel like there were a couple of things at play. One, either I didn't care for the people asking me, or I felt like I was being, like my bisexuality was being fetishized in that moment. But in in theory, I'm down for like the idea of it. Like like if we're on the interwebs and stuff, and let's say you're like on the hub and stuff, I'll definitely watch, right? Like I'll definitely watch when I'm like, oh, okay, what's happening? But other than that, I haven't actually taken the dive in. Like,
Is that something you're looking forward to, like trying in the near future, or is this something? So, would you say that threesomes are something that you're looking to get into?
okay, I am open hypothetically to the idea of a threesome. I think if the situation was to present itself and someone was to be like, hey, you, me, and this other person, let's do the thing, I'd be like, okay. I'd be very nervous about it, but like in theory, I'm down. What that actually means if it like happens in person, I don't really know. Like I'm really hesitant to start things and really kind of um like almost timid about certain situations. One, because I'm not super trusting of people, and so like this would have to be something that I kind of like almost pre-plan for.
That's fair enough. Be comfortable with the people you're doing it with. Be comfortable
Yeah.
with the experience. I understand. I mean, it's a very intimate thing. Like you're exposing yourself to like a third person, and especially if your partner's included, I feel like you're exposing your relationship to a whole other person. And that's where it gets kind of tricky because now it's not just a solo thing. It's a whole different thing. Like if I meet two girls, I'm just like, all right, we're gonna have a threesome now,
Mm-hmm.
or like yeah, something like that. If it's me and my partner, now I feel like it's like our relationship low key is on the rope right now, and I was like, I don't know what we're gonna do or not. Like, your thoughts
Oh
on
man.
this, Roxy?
I feel like I've been in this situation a good amount of times. Like
Do tell.
I feel like I've been in this situation probably like as a waitress and having random people approach me, or like having a friendship or two approach me, or having like be in a relationship and kind of almost have that happen. I feel like I'm not for or against it, but to go that route, the amount of confidence that you have to have is like supreme, like designer supreme, like Virgil collab, like supreme. But it's just like it just takes. I almost feel like for me right now, the amount of preparation and confidence and extra shit that it takes almost makes it a little bit less sexy. May I be that person? Because if it's like a partnership, which usually somebody's in like some type of partnership, two people are always closer than that other person. Everybody has to make sure that other person's feelings are extra taken care of. Then there's like the testing thing. So you have to make sure that that's like correct, because you
No
just got to make sure
diseases.
that's correct.
That's fair
Whereas
enough. Yeah, of course.
three
Safety
people,
first.
we
It's
said three, but
2021. Like,
yeah, like, and we're all so free now. Like, it's popular to be like more free. Like, I feel like we kind of discussed that, and the last episode, like whether being free is like popular or like really true to yourself. We discussed that. But I feel like after you like really prepare for it and setting the mood and all that type of stuff, it makes it just a little bit more not sexy. Like people want to say it's random. It can like yeah, like random is cool, random is dangerous, but it's just kind of like
I don't feel like partner threesomes happen random. I think partner threesomes is definitely something that you plan for. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like once again, if it's like a solo thing, like you
It,
could get into some shit. Like you can go out to a bar, you can get into some shit. But like with a partner, it's definitely something that you have to talk with. Like because you have to both be comfortable with the person that you're bringing into it.
I feel like when that was the case with me some time ago, it was random. It wasn't like a thing where like we talked about, oh, would you like be into this? It just kind of was like a moment that happened. It didn't go through, but it was random. It could have went through, but it fell short. And I guess we'll get to that when we talk about like how to sort of kind of prepare for a threesome depending on what type of relationship that you were in. So like being that I am like in a straight hetero relationship, I feel like on this end for me, just let the girl be in control of that environment. Like if that's the type of realm that you're in, like you know your partner, but for the most part, let the girl be in control. Like if it's a woman and a male or whoever's like basically just let the woman be in more control because with my situation it didn't go that way. Like everything was fine. We were out of town. We were somewhere. Somebody was feeling me. Me and her kind of end up kissing, and we were supposed to like take it somewhere else. And it kind of turned into a situation where I felt like the person that I was with was getting like a little bit too desperate. And basically, it made me uncomfortable. Like, I guess you could say, like, I didn't feel insecure, but I didn't feel as secure. Like, because I was just kind of like, dang, you're doing all this stuff for somebody you don't know. And meanwhile, I've been with you for however, whatever, whatever. But yeah, that's why it didn't go right. Fast forward to me probably doing some shitty stuff.
So I guess my question would be right now is like, had it been opposite and there'd been another guy joining you on a threesome, do you think the insecurities would have fell on your male partner? Or do you feel because it was another girl that those insecurities were showing up a little bit more because, like you said, he was doing more for that girl because maybe he felt like he had to like treat the girl different? Would you maybe feel the same? Maybe would he feel the same if you would have brought another dude into the equation and you were kind of doing a little bit extra for the guy?
I feel like he probably would have felt the same and then some, but it depends on how like your ego is in that moment. I feel like also we didn't have a conversation about it. We like so I will give him grace as far as he didn't know like maybe I should let her have control over the situation. But in the meantime, like I'm thinking like why wouldn't you let me have control over the situation? Especially it was a thing where she wanted me.
Oh, okay, okay. She was definitely more into you
Yeah,
than
like
anything.
she definitely like wanted me. So that's also like another thing. I would say it was like one of those things like she wanted me and then for you to kind of jump a gun that wasn't wanted, it was like it was very unattractive. Seeing your partner thirsty in any type of way is
Oh, so
unattractive.
he was kind of lusting after
Right.
anything.
It
So
was
it's
very
okay.
unattractive.
I see where
Always
that's coming
play it
from.
cool, like on both ends. Always play it cool. Like
Of course,
if
of
you're out
course.
to get someone, the whole point in mating in general is to make that person want you, not to like throw yourself out there. And I feel like that for anything.
wait, so I guess if I kind of this kind of gonna shift gears for a minute. I'm curious because you're straight. Do you have a preference to whether or not, if you were to have a threesome, if you were to have one with another woman and a man, or with two men?
See, that because it's like it's a thing where I guess it depends. It's like a society thing. It's almost like, for some reason, what I know is with two men, it's not called a threesome. It's called
What?
like running a train.
That's fair enough.
I've never heard that.
Right. That's what it's called. Like that's where it's
Train's
called. Like
very
where I
popular.
come from. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a pastime where Roxy comes from. They probably have somebody on Reddit with stats.
That's what I know. And then for some reason, like when it's two women and a guy, then it's a threesome and it's all sexy and blah blah blah.
I feel like maybe that's like a misogynistic way of looking at it
That
too.
feel like
is,
that's,
but
like,
it's kind of like
fetishizing.
stuck into my
Yeah,
brain.
you know.
And I don't think I've reached a point where I, to be honest, I don't know if I want like two masculine things like in like going me involving myself into like two different masculine things. When I see it, it just seems like too much for me. It seems like too much for like my body to handle. Whereas like women in general, they're very like soft and gentle, and then like you do have the man to balance that out. That's what you want. Being that that situation almost happened, I can't say that that's something that I would approach again, just for me. But I, if that were to ever happen in some miracle world, then I would probably lean more that way. Because, like, women, I feel like if nobody else knows what to do, I feel like a woman knows what to do.
That's
Okay.
fair enough.
Yeah.
Sparrow, do you think you have a preference? Well, hold on, backtrack. Have you had a threesome?
I've only been in one threesome experience in my life. I guess it was very early on in my career. I was 19 at the time, and I was completely inexperienced. I had probably only had sex a handful of times, and honestly, I probably had no right being in that threesome. The story behind the threesome is probably more entertaining than the actual threesome. I'm just gonna be honest, but I think it just came with the fact that I was just inexperienced and I was unaware, and like I was, I guess, just insecure at that point because I was just like, oh fuck, what do I do? You know, it was with two girls, so I guess that's the only experience that I have with that. Other than that, I don't really think I don't know. I would say my preference would be two girls. I don't think I'm open enough where I would try it with a dude or like I don't know at that point. Like to be honest, and I think that's just the misogynistic part of it, where it's just like
Yeah.
at that point it's just like because even like with a couple of male friends that I do have, they have offered me positions in the train. And I'm just like, I can't do that. That just feels fucking weird to me. Like being in a room with like three other guys, everybody's just naked, like their dicks are out. It just feels like an uncomfortable setting for me. Like I don't know. Cause I feel like, what are you supposed to do? Like you just like sit there, and, like jack off until it's your turn, or like you know, it's just
And also, like, adding on to that, I feel like a good amount of threesomes, I will say, I don't want to say it's more so for women, but I feel like women who want to do it, they're like, for the most part, like, they're curious, being that, like, I'm not curious, so I already know, like, what that feeling is like to be with a woman. It would be like, I'm clearly doing this for a male. Like, I'm doing this for you. I'm not, there's no part of me that's like, oh, I wonder. I already know what it's like. So I feel like that would take, it's basically like me, it's me like opening up my sexuality for somebody else other than myself. And that's like a lot with this Leo energy going on over here. That's just like a lot, like that's a lot of humbling to do. That is a lot of humbling to do.
so you feel like you do it more to please your partner than you would to please yourself.
For me, like who I am, like right now, like I don't think I'm not missing out on anything. I know what it's like to have sex with a guy. I know what it's like to be with a woman. So it's just like,
You've been on both spectrums.
yeah. So it's just kind of like having them together. I guess you could add them, but you know, like it's not like it's like a simple addition for me. I don't feel like I'm missing out. So if I were to do that, it would be strictly for my partner.
So, did either of you guys ask the people who you were involved with to be in a threesome, or were you invited by an alternate party? Roxy kind of already answered this, but Sparrow.
I was just kind of invited by an alternate party. Like, I
Okay.
mean, I guess, do you guys want to hear the story?
I kind of
I'm
want to
down.
hear the story.
Okay, all right. So I've always been very fortunate, and I've always met some. I'm dead ass.
Start over.
I've always been
Sparrow
very.
is a lucky man.
I've always been very fortunate that I've met very interesting people in my life,
Okay.
and these interesting people have always taken a liking to me for whatever reason. So, or we're not allowed to say names, so I'm just gonna give him an A-list. He's gonna be called Falco because he was that cool. Okay, he's gonna be called Falco. So back in the day, Sparrow used to trap, right? Had the shoebox in my mom's house and everything. And my plug was this dude named Falco. Falco was by hands. Also, I'm 19 at the time. I'm a freshman in college. Like, I think I'm living my adult life. I'm moving in forward. It's a crazy time for me to be alive, you know? So Falco was the plug. And he would always hook me up with like cheap prices. He always invite me to smoke. He would always just take care of me because for whatever reason, he was cool with me. He like liked me. He's always like this. So this particular night, he was just like, "Hey, bro, do you want to go out to the quad?" So for all my ATO OGs, you know what the quad is. The quad was probably the best place to go on a Tuesday night. $20 got you into the door, a Molly pill, and a drink. And that's all you needed to have a good time. It was just a wild time. So this particular night, we went out, and he invited me out with him, and we had a great time. Like he was the coolest dude ever. Like everywhere he went, people knew him, people dapped him up. Like he was just cool. He was like Ferris Bueller. That's all I can really say. Like he was just a cool dude. So after that, we were partying. Like I'm feeling all euphoric. I'm fucked up. He keeps buying me drinks. We ended up going back to his house. And when we got back to his house, the best thing about the quad was always the after party.
Sure.
Because it's like 5 a.m., people are partying, people are just like, yo, what's the next spot? Where we going? Where we at? He has a trap house, so of course we're going over there. There's a whole nother party going on. So when we get there, there's this girl that I thought was cute the whole time. And I even told him, he's just like, dude, just, he's just like, dude, go for it. Dude, go for it. Dude, go for it. So eventually, we get to the point where it's like 5:30 in the morning. And I remember this because it was hilarious. It's him and his girl, and it's her and her friend, right? And him and his girl are like both older than us. So we start playing like spin the bottle for whatever reason, right?
Wait, you're 19 and you're playing Spin the Bottle?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
No, it was just, motherfuckers were on drugs. That's all I can say. It's just like, we was all feeling euphoric. It was a wild time to be alive. Like, that's all I can say. Like, I've had some interesting moments. So anyway, spin the bottle, we all go through it, and it gets to the point where he's just like, they get on the bottle, and her sister dares her to like kiss the other girl.
I'm sorry.
Right?
I didn't mean to laugh. Okay, I did mean to laugh. Let's start over. I definitely meant to laugh. I really think it's funny when like straight people act like they're doing something so bad and adventurous by like partaking in something even a little bit homosexual, and I'm just like, guys, you're not doing anything that someone else isn't already doing. Like, there's nothing crazy happening.
Yeah, that's
like
fair
a
enough.
kiss is a kiss, but
I don't know. This was also almost like 10 years ago, so I feel like it was just
right,
different times.
different vibes. 10 years ago, being out and about like
that was
is
a whole
different than being out now.
Now somebody's just like, yo, kiss this girl. Everybody's like, all right. It's like if somebody was just like, kiss this dude. Nobody would care.
Yeah.
Everybody would be like, good for you, bro. Just keep going about your day. So anyway, long story short, that happened. And then they just started making out, right? And then I was just already on this girl. So like, I was sitting next to her. And then she just was like, come here. Oh. So like, we started doing like this three-way kiss, right? And at that point, Falco, I almost forgot his name. Falco just kind of goes like, you got this, bro. And he just walks away with his girl. So from there, that's what I'm saying. I was really inexperienced. I didn't know what the fuck to do. I was nervous. I was like kissing him. Like I started filling up on her. She was being receptive to the filling up. So like it was going. She started filling up on the other girl. After that, like we ended up just pretty much naked and kissing. Like it was interesting because like at the same time, like I said, I didn't really know what to do at that time. Like I feel like if my mindset today was to go back, I definitely feel like it would have been a more meaningful experience for me. Mm-hmm. But at that time, I just kind of let her lead, and she could tell like I was nervous and I was shy because honestly, that wasn't my place to be. Had it been a regular night and had I gone on with my friends, we probably would have ended up at Waffle House. like laughing about the night we had, but somehow I was in here like in this like weird predicament. To me, it was weird because I was just like, what the fuck do I do? Like, what is this? And like, so yeah, I mean, like I said, it was a lackluster experience in my point of view. Like, I wish I could do it over, but
So you
I
would
bet.
do it, or you would have another threesome if the opportunity arose.
yeah, I mean, I definitely think I'd be into it. Like, um, I don't oppose it. I feel like I would be more comfortable doing like a solo threesome than a partner threesome though.
Oh, like
Definitely.
if you were invited in as the third person.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. Like I don't know. I just like I personally feel like when a partner is involved, there's just too many complications, and like I guess I choose insecure partners, but I feel like when it comes to like a you telling your partner like, hey, what about this girl? She's like, oh, why her? You know.
And then it's like when you're the third person, you don't have to like live with it. Like
Exactly, and it's just like now I have to
you
like
don't
live
have
with
to live
this.
with
Just
it.
like, why'd you pick her? What is it about her that you like better? Like
True.
this, and that. And it's just like if you're with an insecure partner, it shows.
Mhm.
It really does show because now it's just kind of like a thing. It's just like you could have picked any other girl. So it's like, what is it about her? Like, are you gonna see her again? This, and that. And I feel like just shit's weird when it comes to that.
Okay. I think that's really interesting to me because I feel like if a partner threesome situation was to arise, like, there's a lot of conversation that goes into that or whatever. And maybe it's because I'm like in a relationship where we talk a lot. We like consistently and constantly are having like so many conversations, and like we have check-ins once every week or so where, or like if we feel like we've been disconnected or something, one of us will literally kind of pull up and be like, hey, do you want to do a check-in? And we'll like sit down and like see where the other person's feeling it with where we are. Um, which obviously like takes a long time to get to that point, but I just think it would be a different reaction. I don't think I would ever be sitting in a room where my partner is ever like nervous about me coming and being like, hey, what do you think of this person, that person, or like vice versa. Because that conversation has come up and it's kind of been like, hey, what do you think about like this potentially happening, and me being like, oh, I don't know, like what would happen, what would we do, and like playing the hypothetical what ifs for all of this, and then being like, okay, maybe X, Y, and Z can happen, or maybe like this could happen instead, like maybe we need more time or less time or whatever. Like, I, again, all hypotheticals because I still haven't had a
Yeah.
threesome, but
I mean, I applaud you. It sounds like you have a beautiful thing going on because there's
Definitely.
that level of communication. Like, because even when I have had been in relationships and we had those talks, it usually led to like, are you gonna cheat on me
mm.
now? Just
But were
because.
you in a monogamous a monogamous relationship?
Yeah, it was
Okay,
a complete one-on-one thing.
so
So
then
Yeah.
like,
it's
it's
different
different.
still,
It's
right?
different. I feel like when both parties are like, for example, you are in an open relationship,
Yeah.
so it's like you guys are already cool with that. I feel like when it's like a non-monogamous relationship, it's like we have to break that barrier where it's just like we're going into a whole other thing right now, and it's just like I feel like you have something to say.
I just can't say. I feel like I am also in a monogamous relationship. And I feel like if we were to go that route, like okay, being insecure and having insecurities are two different things. It's just like, okay, do you want to do that with an insecure person? No. Should you be in a relationship if you're an insecure person?
Probably not.
No. Am I an insecure person? No. Do I have insecurities? Yes.
You're human.
So there's like a difference again in being with someone who's insecure and having insecurities. When you are in a monogamous relationship, your best thing to do probably isn't to have a girlfriend and then the person that you go and have a threesome with is completely Pornhub world.
That's what
Maybe
I'm
you
saying.
shouldn't do that.
No, it's not gonna work out in your best interest
But that
because
doesn't make her insecure either.
I agree with that too. That's fair enough.
Cause it's just like, although we always like want to keep stuff fair, like maybe for instance, like if it's the other way around, and because if it's two guys and a girl, it's still technically a threesome, regardless of like what I said I know it to be. It's like, how would you feel if you look a certain way? Mm, let's just say like you're a certain size or whatever, and then like the guy that she picks is completely just complete like I didn't even know that you were into that. Like why do you like me?
Like someone who
that
is
type
like
of,
your opposite.
right. I feel like when it comes to being in a monogamous relationship, you have, like, of course, there is more consideration, but I feel like there's a difference in between that and being insecure. And I feel like sometimes guys, because I do feel like it mostly benefits them,
Oh no, without a
women were
doubt.
trying to do that thing where, like, oh, like, you know, like, we're trying to do that thing where it's like, oh no, like, I've always wanted to be with a girl, blah blah blah. We're trying to do that. Me really talking to, like, friends that I have, it low key is, it is like one of those things where you want to seem like the cool girlfriend, and they're low key not that cool with it. If we want to really, really go deep, but
But I
See,
feel like
that's
you're
a
100% right though.
like, yeah, and I just feel like that part isn't taken account for.
I feel like that's a whole other set of issues, though. I feel like, in theory, everyone should be comfortable with where you're at if you're going to have a threesome, right? Like, this should be like a, things get started, or like, even if you're meeting someone spontaneously, like, a conversation needs to happen between whenever you meet this person and start getting hot and bothered, and to the point where they end up in your bedroom, assuming like you're an adult and you use your bedroom because, sexy fun times.
Something wrong with the couch.
Nothing wrong with the couch, but I was just like,
Sometimes you're
you
crashing.
can't
It.
have a threesome in your. Well, you can't.
Sometimes you're crashing in the living room. Who knows? Like, hey.
Well, I don't know. There's a lot of like factors at play. I just think like if you're a straight person and you're not comfortable with the opposite sex, then being in that threesome is already going to be an uncomfortable situation. You're not setting yourself up for success. Like, even though I've never had a threesome, like the offers or like the conversations that have happened around that, like, have I considered it? Yes. But I rejected them for one reason or another. Like, I remember one person who was like, "Hey, we should do this thing." And I was like, "Okay, like, how would you want to go about that?" And he was like, "No, no, 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 like, you're a bisexual, so you should go and find whoever this girl is, not me." And I was like, "No, no, this is like team effort.
It's a
If you
group
want
effort.
to do
It's
this, this
yeah.
is a group activity. You have to participate in the group activity. This is not school where I'm gonna like do all the work for this project and you're gonna get the credit at the end. Absolutely not. That's my A plus, not yours."
But see, in
So
hindsight though, also like I didn't mean to cut you off like that, but like
no, go for it.
I feel like if I'm in like a relationship, I would totally. It's like Roxy said earlier, let the girl take control. At this point, you pick the girls. Maybe like give me like a B C D, and I kind of just check the ones I like, and then we kind of go from there. Because once again, I don't want to deal with the fact that it's just like, why is it this person? Why is it this? Because it just leads into like, have you been talking to them already? Have you been like fantasizing about them? Like,
But a threesome is a fantasy in and of itself, right? Like, I've rejected people's offers or invitations because I felt like I wasn't just a fantasy in this situation. At that point, I was a fetish in that situation. That's not something I wanted for myself. Versus like coming in with a partner who's like, even if you let whoever this woman is in your life take control of that situation, be like, "Hey, whatever makes you comfortable, that's cool, but you should still participate. Like, you should still be there. If she's swiping on Tinder, sit and swipe with her. Like,
it seems
if
like a
this
fun
is like
couple
a
time.
potential like friend that you invite, then have a conversation before you're like, "Hey, this is the person." Because like the assumption now is that whoever in this like straight relationship is that the man is just going to be okay with whoever, and that it's the girl's final say so. It should be a mutual final say so.
And also, like, when I said that, I guess I'm thinking about it depends on the type of partner that you are. Because I will say that I was going strictly off of my own situation. But guys know, if you're that guy who just want a threesome regardless, you know who you are. It's fine. But you're not finna care. Like, if you're that person, it's fine. In a healthy relationship, oh my God, like, monogamous or poly, yes, do everything together. Like, do everything together. Me having it presented to me didn't really work out. We were like hella close, love her to death. I was like, oh, okay, y'all think I'm hot? Cool. Like, as things keep going, I know them both, but I notice that I'm just talking to her, and I'm like, oh, okay, like, well, we are like really, really cool. And then like as rules come into play, it's just kind of like, okay,
Okay, I gotta ask, like, what kind of rules?
Yeah, what are the rules here?
it turns into a thing where if you don't do it, I feel like if you don't do everything together, like you were saying, and I don't feel like this is a situation where the guy, he just wanted a threesome with anybody, so that's why it got a little bit tricky. I feel like it would have worked better had they did everything together, like you were saying, because I feel like they both equally wanted that experience for real.
No, that is. I'm gonna try the Tinder swiping together thing. That's gonna
Right,
be
like
cool.
they really both wanted that, and like that was cool. But then it turns into a thing where then it gets personal because we're cool. Then it's like, oh, like we're cool. You know how you do that thing? Don't do that to my man, please. Like,
Oh,
don't do that. Like,
Okay, so
and also like he's not gonna do this and that to you. And then it just turned into a thing where it's just like,
see, and that's what I'm saying. The confusing part is because at that point, it's just like if I'm engaging in a threesome with my partner, it's like, what are the rules? Can I touch this person a certain way? Can I like kiss them? Like,
this is a lot more in depth than I've ever
Right.
imagined this conversation being. And
right.
maybe it's because I've never gotten to that level. I just feel like
it's a lot
I
of
if
feel
things
you're
at
like-
play.
putting like rules and things into play, like that's so much.
I feel like it's that way because it's lacking that togetherness that you were talking
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
Like I feel like
Yeah.
that stuff wouldn't happen if everything was just so. If you're a couple, if you're gonna be together and that's a decision that y'all are gonna make, that shit has to be together. And I feel like every situation that I'm thinking about and why it didn't go that way in my earlier mindset is because it wasn't together. Had it been together, I probably would have different
Like
stories
there
now.
weren't mutual decisions
Yeah.
being made.
So this is like a random question. It's totally off topic, but would you be offended if your partner like nutted inside the guest? Like dead ass, you know, that's what I'm saying. Because now it goes into the whole cum thing, where it's just like, who gets to cum?
Honestly,
Like would that be like a deal breaker for you? It's just like I can't believe you came in her.
oh my god,
I stumped.
fuck. Yes, I would be offended.
All right, cool. That's all I need to hear.
Truth. So if you're listening right now, don't do that.
Yeah, yeah. Don't come in the guest. Don't. Yeah.
I feel like I'm a safe cum spot. Like, why?
I mean,
like,
you're the partner though. At that point, you would be the same.
like
cum
why?
spot, like.
Why risk it with someone we don't know? Like, if you're gonna come in anybody, it should be me.
So that's definitely
Not
a deal breaker.
everybody, but
I don't
you
know
I'm
what
saying.
that feels like, so I'm gonna take both of your words for this. That this is like a good place to start.
If you're gonna take a risk, just do it with the person you're
Like
already
I'm
with.
saying, because that's what I'm saying. It's like I need like a set of
Damn,
rules established.
that's-
You know what I'm
yeah.
saying, though? 'Cause that's a real thing. It's like, what if it just happens by accident? You know? Because also, I hate to say it, sound like a guy, but this is new territory. I don't know what this person's like pussy feels
Right.
like.
Right.
You know,
There's
like,
always that thing.
there's
Yeah.
always that thing. So it's just like shit might happen. At that point, it's like, am I gonna offend you just because like my body reacted? You know,
That's a
like,
lot.
The partner, the guest might have fire. I don't know. Like,
That's that
It's a
is
variable.
like a whole another territory. Like that is about ego, which should probably be another. It should be another conversation because I feel my inner rage / common sense / humanity all mixing together in my mind, and I don't know which one is prevailing.
Okay, so I'm just curious. Do either of you think a threesome is worth it then? Because like the way you guys are talking, it kind of, I'm not gonna lie, it sounds
makes
a
you not
lot
wanna
less
do
appealing.
it,
Yeah, it does.
right.
It makes me feel like I've made like a good decision for myself to be like, you know what, one person at a time. Please wait in line, like whatever, you know?
all I've learned from this is that monogamous relationships are kind of tricky. Because at that
Yeah.
point, I feel like
They're
if
a
you
little
have,
tricky,
like, when you were explaining the openness with your partner, I was just like, yo, I wish we had that type of dialogue.
Right.
Like, that type of dialogue would be amazing. But I feel like that type of dialogue only exists because you're already set to that set of rules.
Mhm.
You know, as opposed to being, like, on a one-on-one thing where it's just like, we're set to a whole different type of rules.
Well, like that dialogue doesn't happen because there are rules in place. That dialogue happens because we've decided that that's necessary for the function of our relationship.
Fair
Like,
enough.
I think I said in one of the other episodes that, like, as a general human being, I talk a lot. So if we're in a relationship and I'm quiet, something's got to be wrong,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And if you're going to try and like do all these things and like have these like certain experiences, I feel like a conversation is necessary because I'm so timid as a person when it comes to certain things. Like, one of my, like, I think one thing that I probably fear most about like this whole situation and listening to you guys talk is being the person that either gets invited or is like inviting someone else and then finding out the other people involved in the situation didn't have a nice time with me. Because there's this idea somewhere in the universe that, like, one, as a bisexual, you're gonna know all of the things from all of the genders. Let's be very real. That's not the type of person I am, especially considering my upbringing and how like conservative my like background is. You know, I know my culture came up with the Kama Sutra. I also know that I have never read it. Okay? I've read a couple of pages here and there, and none of the pages I've read were actually focused on sex. It was more about like the energy that you can bring in and out, whatever. But that's a whole different thing. So like this expectations.
Yeah.
The idea that like this is going to be a wonderful experience, like that kind of freaks me out. Like if it's not good, now what? Because in other cases, I feel like if I decide that I want to like go off and like try something new or like experience a new person or whatever, like yeah, that's cool. That's a great option to be able to have. But also, I kind of frame a mindset with dates and things in general that the first time you ever do something, there's going to be so much like anxiety or whatever around it, you don't really get the chance to enjoy whatever that experience is. So the second time is where you really dive in. A threesome does not really set up the environment for you to try this again, you know? And I really don't want to invite someone into my personal space like that with my partner or like be invited into someone else's space like that and then be like, okay, so we're gonna do this once, and then just in case it's bad, let's do it again. That way you can be comfy now. Like,
But if it's good, we're gonna definitely do it again.
I feel like it sets up better in a relationship like yours, probably because you guys already share. Like, you know, like you guys already experience different people. Does that make sense? Whereas maybe in a monogamous relationship, being that that's not what we do when we jump into it, now it's like
but this
it's
isn't
extra as fuck.
so. Yes and no, right? Like this is not a regular occurrence. I'm gonna keep referencing like how I am in like my general life. As much as I'm like chatty and social and stuff, I really do am like reserved and like really cautious of the decisions I make when it comes to sex. So I don't actually adventure out and have like a bunch of partners or anything, you know? Like
Oh, we're not saying that.
no, I know that you're not implying that, but I'm just saying it for like the audience to know that like you guys see me here in the studio. You can look at me and like see the way my body language is and stuff. They don't have the pleasure of, or I don't know if it's the pleasure. You don't.
It's the
Yeah,
pleasure.
there you go. You don't have the
It's the
pleasure of
pleasure.
seeing my attitude. So like, I think it's important to like reference that and be like, hey, you know, this is like just knowing that the person you're listening to behaves in a certain way kind of puts into frame of reference like what's happening. Like, why are these conversations happening in my life? Why have I not had this experience when I'm probably, in theory, I'm the most like suited to be able to have this, right? Like, if someone was to ever come and be like, I'm looking for a unicorn, they'd probably assume that I would be the best bet. They'd be like, her.
White people are
Yellow is
unicorns.
bi.
Yeah.
We have the option, you know?
Yeah, the first time I found out about unicorns, that was a crazy day.
Unicorns
Unicorn culture
fascinate
is
me.
some shit. Like
I don't know what that is.
a unicorn is whenever you go to Pride and you see like a person with like a unicorn thing on, that means like they get off of like getting with couples.
Okay.
Like
Got
they
it.
love being a couple's third. They love
You
that. That's
definitely
their.
feel,
I guess
you
that's
feel
like their
so
fetish.
hot. You
Yeah,
feel so hot when
that's
a
their
couple
thing.
wants you.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god, I'm so hot.
It's
But
like a
that's
single
just-
person who just loves doing it with couples.
Yeah. But like a lot of times I think what people think a unicorn is versus what it actually is, like those things are not synonymous with bisexuality or polyamory or whatever other end of the spectrum you're on. So it's just kind of like I live in this space where people are like, I bet she's done that. I bet Yellow has had this, and this experience. I bet she's freaky. And it's just like, Yellow is equally as uncomfortable in all aspects of her life. Like, don't get me wrong. I think I'm great. And if the time comes and whatever, I'm going to own that shit. I'm going to be like, excuse me.
Get that shit.
I'm hot
Get
shit.
that shit. You are
Let's
hot
do
shit.
this. But like, until that happens, like, the thought process and anxiety behind it is really going to be like at the forefront, right? Like, it's always a scary thing until you do it. Like, I like to think about this kind of like a roller coaster, you know? Like, that anticipation is what's getting me. I'm not really scared of it actually happening. I'm not actually gonna like panic or freak out when the like moment presents itself. But leading up to that, like, there are so many thoughts in my mind. So like, still sitting here and like listening to you guys go through this, I'm like, is this worth all of this? Like, maybe this is just like this sounds like a kiddie coaster, you know? Like, you're just gonna go woo,
I guess
and then it's gonna be done.
I feel like in a one-on-one, it's definitely something where it's just like both of you have to be completely comfortable with yourselves and your relationship before anything goes out. Like,
And I feel like after listening to what we've been talking about, there are words that are resonating with me right now. It's probably there's fantasy, there's fetish, there's boundaries, and then there's functionality. Like, if everybody just think about all that, just marinate on those words, whatever like it means to you, I feel like that's like the main basis that I'm getting through this conversation. And that is what will make or break your threesome ride or train or whatever it is that
whatever
you want to call it.
Like,
All the options. But I think this is a good place to stop, and let's jump into aftercare. So, friendly reminder for everyone listening, aftercare is a portion of the show where we either go over what we've kind of learned through this conversation or just kind of close it off and give our remarks. Sparrow, do you want to start?
Sure. What did I learn today? I definitely feel like monogamous relationships are kind of complicated. Way more complicated than the trouble is worth, it seems. Other than that, I mean, like, if you want to have a threesome with your partner and both of you are cool with it and you can decide on the proper person to bring into your party, then just go for it, experience it. I still think it's an equally awesome experience to bring somebody else into the bedroom. Like, you might learn something about your partner that you weren't sure of. You might learn something about yourself that you weren't sure of. So, I mean, always keep an open mind, but most importantly, always respect each other and respect your relationship. If you're in an open relationship, same. Just keep the communication with your partner and go for it.
I think like my main thing is I can't say that, oh, threesomes, like, oh, they're lit, blah, blah, blah. I'll say like whatever it is that you choose is fine. Just like always do things the healthy manner. Always be respectful. Like I said, there's fetish, there's fantasy, there's functionality, and then there's boundaries. Everybody has all of them. Boy, girl, 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 whatever it is that you identify as, always respect that other person completely. And I feel like whatever it is that y'all come up with, that will work out fine. The minute somebody's out of those words, whenever like somebody's shit outweighs the other person, it's already not working out. So if you find yourself doing that, y'all need to reset.
Wise words.
Yeah.
Words. Yellow.
God, I feel like I've learned so many things this episode. I definitely think I feel reaffirmed in my decision to hold off on that experience.
It's a tricky
I mean,
thing. Like,
Oh my god.
thank you so much for validating
I'm telling
my
you, the solo threesome
hesitation.
experience is better when you do it with your partner. It's just like,
Definitely.
but
You know, I mean, whatever floats people's boats, I think waiting for that time when I'm ready is definitely a good affirmation to have at the end of this episode. Not feeling like I lost out on something. No, but in actuality, you know, I did learn a lot from you guys. Just understanding that if I was to ever be invited into someone else's space, making sure that it's someone who's openly had this conversation and they're really mature, not mature, but like really ready. Like they've really thought this through. It's not just an impulsive moment. That way I'm not invading someone's boundaries without realizing it. And then also knowing that if I ever decide to allow someone into my space like that, that to do the same. Just really thinking this through, not being impulsive is great, but it sounds like that's the thing that kind of ruins it. Yeah.
Yeah, the two different sides of the fence feel completely different. They're completely different experiences. Being the one that's wanted and being the one that wants someone. So different.
I love it. Okay. Guys, thanks for listening. This is the end of our threesomes episode. I hope that you'll listen in on the next episode of We're All Adults.